like a little bonus or my refunds, I put a little extra towards my mortgage because you can never tell what will happen.
Everybody needs a plan. Make one and stick to it. That way you will keep the keys to your home.
East Central St. Catherine is one of the seats that will be most keenly watched on election night. The battle between Orlando Terrelong, the incumbent, the JLP MP, and Raymond Price, who returns for more. These two met at the 2020 general election, Terrelong coming out on top. Price says the story will be different this time. There is an undercurrent in the constituency, though, that is demanding of attention because there is tension reportedly between both sets of supporters as both men campaign hard in a bid to be the one going to Gordon House after the elections. Price stops by to talk about what his campaign team have experienced on the ground, and more important than that, what he has to offer the people of East Central St. Catherine and what he thinks will tip the race in his favor this time around. On the other side, we'll speak with Floyd Green, the Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth, facing a strong challenge from the PNP's Dr. Miranda Wellington. The fact of the matter is that Floyd Green is confident. He says the wind is beneath his wings, and that he believes that come election day, he'll take care of business. We'll hear from his perspective just what his confidence is built on as we draw closer to the date for the announcement of election day. It's Lead Story Prime on Tuesday. I'm feeling good. You're feeling good. The microphone is working. Let's start the show. Welcome back to Lead Story Prime here on this Tuesday evening. Now, if you look at the history of the constituencies and the history of the constituencies and the various members who have represented the 63 constituencies we have now in Parliament, East Central St. Catherine must be treated with a special kind of reading, because if you go to the records as listed by the National Library, listing the original constituencies in 1944 after universal adult suffrage, when we had our first general election under universal adult suffrage, East Central St. Catherine would have emerged on the map from the time when Ferdinand Nita was the Member of Parliament. History will record that he was the first Member of Parliament for East Central St. Catherine. But you would be misled, because that East Central St. Catherine is not the East Central St. Catherine now in play to be contested by Messrs. Terrelong and Price. It's a different East Central St. Catherine. And so this East Central St. Catherine that we're talking about has to start at the point where Arnaldo Brown, the Attorney at Law, former UWI man, good footballer, was the Member of Parliament, winning that seat for the PNP, defeating Suzette Camille Buchanan for the JLP. So it has to start there. Now, I will share with you information to reaffirm where the East Central St. Catherine of no discussion actually starts.
St. Catherine East Central stands as one of Jamaica's youngest constituencies, born from the redistricting efforts that preceded the 2011 general election. This constituency is both politically significant and demographically dynamic, home of the ever-evolving communities of Gregory Park, Southborough, and Portmore Pines. In its first contest, the People's National Party PNP secured an early advantage. Arnaldo Brown, an attorney at law, triumphed over the Jamaica Labour Party GLP's Suzette Buchanan, eking out a narrow 558-vote majority. But the political winds would not remain still. By 2016, the tide turned. Brown, seeking a second term, was unseated by another member of the legal fraternity, Orlando Terrelong, the GLP's standard bearer. The margin of victory was tight, just 494 votes. Then came 2020, with the PNP fielding Raymond Price, a former MP for St. Elizabeth Northeastern. Hopes were high for a resurgence, but Terrelong, now an established figure on the national stage, delivered a blow. He won by a commanding 2,002 votes, not only retaining his seat, but sweeping all 3 divisions in the constituency, Gregory Park, Southborough and Portmore Pines. It was a stark contrast to the 2016 contest, when Portmore Pines had been hotly contested and Southborough remained competitive. The local government elections of 2024 offered another glimpse into the pulse of the constituency. While the GLP emerged ahead overall, the contest was razor thin in Southborough, separated by a mere 4 votes. Gregory Park remained a GLP stronghold, while the PNP showed moderate strength in Portmore Pines. As the 2025 election approaches, all eyes once again turn to St. Catherine East Central. Terry Long is poised to seek a 3rd term, banking on his incumbency and visible community engagement. Across the aisle, Raymond Price, who has not sat in Gordon House since his tenure, representing St. Elizabeth Northeastern, aims for a political comeback. In this young seat, every vote is a narrative, and every election adds a new chapter to its unfolding story. Andre Jebinson, CVM News.
So, he's a lecturer, he's an environmentalist, he's a business owner, and he's a politician. And despite the fact that he's been with us as a politician for some time, Raymond Price, God bless him, still retains his youthful looks. Doesn't look as if he's aging much beyond the fact that he is now the bearded wonder. When he just emerged, he was, well, I said almost clean-shaven as me, but I'm not quite clean-shaven. I have some fuzz on my chin. Good evening, Raymond, is what I'm trying to say.
How are you doing, George?
I'm very good. How are you?
I feel I should take off my glasses and
bust the pose.
Yeah, when I saw that picture a while ago, I was like, wow, that still is our own.
There you go. So the obvious place to start is how is your team working in the constituency on this day in sports?
All right, well, firstly, they gave me permission to leave corner reasoning, which was happening, to come and do this interview on the condition that I go right back. And I say that in response to your question because we have a strategy that has us on the ground 7 days per week at various times of the day in different communities. We have our canvas results, which guide us as to where the blocks of votes are. So we're consolidating our PNP base. In the package before, you would have seen the difference in terms of the return of the PNP base for the local government elections of 2024 when compared to 2020, which most analysts, including both general secretaries of the 2 main political parties, describe as the COVID election, which was an anomaly. Anything that takes away Westmoreland from the PNP is an anomaly. And we see where the PNP base has returned to its voting stride. And that is also the same in East Central St. Catherine. However, East Central St. Catherine is the archetype of the Portmore community, where you have a high number of independents, high number of persons with tertiary education, and a high number of persons who vote along the issues, not so much traditional party lines. Yes. But unlike Southeast St. Catherine and South St. Catherine, East Central St. Catherine has places like Lake Spen, Lilliput, Newland, Gulf, Mexico, areas that have informal communities which have evolved on huge swaths of land owned by government for which persons still do not have their titles. And that is one area of demarcation where the constituents know that I'm not the same as my opponent. He has had 110 plus months and there has not been any program that will give persons roots to titles or actual titles. So for example, in Lake Spen, where during the 70s when Michael Manley was Prime Minister, and they did a land lease program, which was typical across the country at that time, for 50 years, we're now in year 50. So the key message to persons in the Lake Spen community and communities like that is that as Member of Parliament, my first mission is to get busy with getting them their land title, getting you, if you're watching from East Central St. Catherine, your land titles. Things like the zinc fence removal program, formalizing communities so they have proper access to piped water. You'd be surprised that in an urban space such as East Central St. Catherine, there are several communities where persons do not have their own connection to the NWC, and the same with respect to connections to other utilities such as Jamaica Public Service. Yes. So top of the mission is to create resilient communities, and part of that resilience is a formal structure, access to better services, ownership of the land, titles that show that, which they can leverage for their own financial development, moving themselves from welfare to well-being and from well-being to wealth creation.
Yeah, typical Raymond Price. In terms of what it is that you intend to do for the residents and the constituents, I was saving that for later, but you've front-loaded it. That's fine, because we can still continue the conversation along this way. Here's where I want to go, though, in this early part of the discussion. I want to ask you, you said just now that the PNP base has returned, and of course you cited COVID, that's fine, to suggest that, you know, COVID was one of the reasons why the PNP base stayed away. But of course, COVID was non-partisan. So I'd like you to explain why COVID would have kept PNP supporters away from the 2020 elections in large and significant number, but not the JLP supporters, and what is it that has caused the base in East Central to return?
So COVID is non-partisan and it was global. You are correct. However, in 2020, the subpopulations that supported the PNP, our strongest voting bloc at that point in time were older persons. Older persons were more at risk for COVID. So I think it's fair to say that we did lose the youth vote in 2020. 2020 was also a year after the 2019 internal contests. So the PNP that faced the elections in 2020 had two handicaps, if you will, to overcome.
An internal pandemic and an external pandemic.
Yeah, and I'm good with that metaphor. So those days are clearly behind us and far too behind us. What we have done, and I use this opportunity to give credit to our party leader, Mark Golding, and our General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, and the regional chairpersons, because our mission then was to understand what we had gone through, to learn from those lessons, to dig in, to get on the ground in our respective divisions and constituencies, and to begin to re-motivate, re-energize, recruit persons to the PNP base. And that has shown a lot of success. And I'm putting it mildly when I say it has shown a lot of success. The other thing that has happened is the incumbency syndrome. So in the lead up to the interview just now, the package presented says that, you know, my opponent is banking on his incumbency. So am I, because his incumbency is really nothing to write home about. I was walking, for example, on the weekend in Newland, and there had been a fire set by an arsonist who is linked, there was a family dispute. But when I got on the location, the senior firefighter present indicated that the zinc fences help to basically concentrate the heat. So that in and of itself is it helps with the you know, the difficulty to cool. Plus the wood that holds the zinc together is like a fuel. You understand? So the point was very clearly made. And on that very road, about 50 meters from where the fire had started, was where the zinc fence removal that Arnaldo Brown had started, had ended. In that constituency as well, you have the Community Resource Center in Walk.
Hold a point, because I have to take the break. This is Lead Story Prime here on CVM TV. Speaking to Raymond Price, the man who will carry the PNP's banner in that race in East Central St. Catherine at the next general election.
To your own home is a feeling many cannot describe. It's a moment we all hope for and a dream that all Jamaicans have. The new social housing program is the difference between a dream and reality. The government, through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, is building hope, one home at a time.
The iconic iconic Tony Braxton is coming to Reggae Sumfest 2025 as the headline act for Festival Night 2, Saturday, July 19. With over 70 million records sold worldwide, 7 Grammy Awards, and timeless hits like On Break My Heart, Breathe Again, 7 Whole Days. Tony Braxton brings that smooth, sexy, and inimitable vibe to the Sumfest stage. Real R&B royalty meets Jamaica's biggest night in music. Don't miss Tony Braxton live at Reggae Sumfest 2025. Grab your tickets now at reggaesumfest.com. Sponsors Jamaica Tourist Board, MasterCard, Secrets, Hardware and Lumber, Urban Development Corporation, Red Stripe, Down Sound Records.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music is to play, and the people that must say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling, don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit the dark, shine your lights
The tale of the tape in East Central St. Catherine will show that Raymond Price will have a 2,000 vote gap to plug to get to his, to get to the incumbent in the seat, Alanda Terrelong, the JLP Member of Parliament, the man who will wear the crown going into the election. No protection though, because the fact is that when nomination day is announced, then it will be everybody equal. He will have no advantage by virtue of being MP, and Price is saying that it's his time now. It's his time to re-enter Gordon House. Of course, he was there before as a Member of Parliament for North East St. Elizabeth. I'd say I use those words to intro this segment, Raymond, to ask, how has Raymond Price, the politician, matured? And I ask because there was an incident in the build-up to the 2020 COVID election where you got a lot of negative press for, I don't want to call it a gimmick or a stunt, because I don't know you to be gimmick or stunt prone, but you know, politics makes sane men do strange things, where you were seen in a puddle of water saying that, you know, I'm staying with the people, I'm for the people. And many people said, Raymond, dramatic much. And many people in the various chat forums were saying it was a sign of immaturity. It was a naked attempt at attention grabbing, and they had no time for someone who should know better, who was behaving in this craven manner to grab the attention of people. So I say that, put that on the table to ask if it's a different Raymond Price that we're seeing now, or nothing was wrong with Raymond Price then, but it was something you felt you had to do. Well,
I'll answer it with 3 ways. The first is some context, very briefly. So what had happened, we were preparing an area that is an open land owned by the municipal corporation, where we had some donors agree that they would help to roll it for the start of a football field. A group of police officers arrived, and a woman inspector at the time said, and I quote, "The Member of Parliament does not want you here and you need to go." And I said to her, "Ma'am, you are aware that a general election has been announced. I am the PNP candidate and I am campaigning." She says, "Well, I don't care. You have to leave." So I said, "Well, your vehicle and the additional vehicles that had come with her, including one JDF Jeep, were parked behind me." And she said, you didn't drive yourself in here, so you can walk up the road and your car will come and get you." So I sat, not in a puddle of water, I sat on the grass, and I said, "It's 2020, this is a democracy. I respect the authority of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, but if you are saying you're acting on the instruction of the Member of Parliament, I find that to be ultra vires. So do your next best. She then turned to a group of other police officers, constables, and said, lift him up and put him in the back of the pickup and remove him.
The police pickup?
Yes. So I put my 2 hands behind my head, crossed my legs at the ankle, and lay down. Because I did that because nowhere in the Jamaican democratic tradition should a police officer of any rank be taking direct instructions from a politician. It would have been problematic were the instructions to have come from a PNP politician.
But you're a clever man, but it doesn't take a clever man, Raymond, to know that that is on the hearsay of the police officer, because I'm sure you can't tell me that you can prove that the MP actually gave those instructions.
You'd be surprised the things I can prove. And let's go through them during the break.
Yes.
So that was one. So you asked, how has Raymond Price evolved since then? Well, experience teaches wisdom. I'm not talking about my academic qualifications. I'm talking about my political emotional intelligence is far more evolved than it had been in 2012 when I first entered Gordon House.
As a callow youth, yes.
And relative to even last week.
Yes.
Because as long as you're alive, the best thing you can do with the time you have allotted to you is to learn and to build bonds and relationships with people. So things I did then, I'll do differently now. And the most important thing is, what does my experience in media, in academia, in politics, and across the society, what does that mean? It means nothing for me personally if I can't convert that in service to the people of East Central.
But I know that you're a reading man. You've always been. Were you burnt?
He just called me a nerd.
No. It's not, well, I mean, but that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
Yes.
Were you burnt by the criticism that attended to that incident in 2020?
No, because especially on social media, you're going to have 3 types of people responding to anything I post. PNP people, big up my comrade, them blood and fire comrades. You're going to have people from the other side, and then you're going to have people who do not automatically identify as either supporters of the PNP or supporters of the Jamaica Labour Party. I'm an opinionated person. I've always been. So I am not maladjusted by the opinions of other people.
So if you weren't burnt,
I deal with the comments the way I deal with Kipling's twins.
Yes.
Remember in Kipling's Great to Me, he says that you literally have to take praise and condemnation as imposters, treating both as the same. So you put it, as Portia Simpson would have said, you put it into a pot, and some is lime and some is sugar. Add water, drink the lemonade.
Well, you're not Rudyard, you're Raymond. So here's the thing. If it is that you weren't burnt by the criticism that attended to that incident, why then say to me now that you have modified your conduct to fit this screen?
And haven't you modified your conduct on lead story to fit this screen versus where you were in your career as a lead journalist 5 years ago?
Well,
It's called growth. We should celebrate growth. I'm not apologetic of the ability to grow. In that moment, were you faced with that situation, you would have reacted how you reacted. I am not burnt by the criticisms. I am honored by the ability 5 years later, first to live to tell. Not a lot of Jamaicans in that situation live to tell. So let us start there.
But Raymond, that's dramatic much, because there's no way police personnel would have acted with roughhouse tactics or worse to Raymond Price, a former member of parliament, former deputy general secretary of the PNP, a man who ran for the chairmanship of the PNP. You're an ordinary Joe. The police would not have done anything to you there. I'm certain of it. And you're certain of it too. Even though I understand the sentiment that you're trying to communicate.
I'm not trying to communicate a sentiment. I have revealed the sequence of events as they played out. Nor though, George, am I going to allow your dependence on that reference in the past to rob me of the moment and whatever time is left to say to the constituents of East Central St. Catherine that among the things I'm going to do is to reopen the Watson Grove Community Center, which has remained closed since 2016.
Don't do that to me, no. Don't do that to me. I rob you of nothing. All I'm setting out to do is to draw. Hold on.
I'm going to respond since I have to practice being back in Parliament. Asked and answered.
No problem. All I wanted to do was to draw a line under and through that particular incident, so people can hear in your own words how you saw that episode, and if at all the 2025 Raymond Price sees things differently and would have acted differently from the 2020 Raymond Price did, which you have said that, of course, because you have grown and you have matured.
And I'll tell you something.
So that's fair.
I tell you something else that's different.
Yes.
I am certain that the current Commissioner of Police will soon, if he has not yet done so, say to the members of the constabulary at all ranks that we are a competitive democracy and that no member of the security force should be taking instructions from any politician of any stripe or color to infiltrate the democratic traditions, because what happened on that day, and that I've seen that police officer, who, by the way, was promoted shortly after the general elections, and I can tell you that she has said to me that what took place then ought not to have happened.
Excellent. Hear you on that. Talk to me now. You say Watson Grove. Tell your constituents now what it is that MP Raymond Price will do for them.
So I'm not about sloganisms, but my campaign slogan is create a better future together. And the CREATE is an acronym for 6 pillars: community development and crime reduction, resilience and reform, enterprise development and entrepreneurship, access to quality services, technology and innovation, and of course, environmental reform, right? Environmental resilience and reform. So under each pillar, and you can check my social media, Raymond Price JA, we've started to upload them. So for example, with respect to crime reduction, though just a candidate, I can speak to a strategy that I have implemented which has worked. So we re-established, for example, the Southborough Football Club, and that brought to the Southborough community a club of young footballers like yourself, and each week when they would play in either a trial match or a training match or an actual competition, people will come out from all sides of Southborough. The entire fabric of that community, which was one built on tension and a lot of need for the police to come in with various kinds of intervention, the police themselves will tell you that the entire profile of the Southborough division, and in particular the Southborough community, has changed. Similarly, other sporting ventures, whether it be domino, and I'm not very good at domino, for example, people from all across come and they participate and they support their team.
Stick up in, Raymond. We have to take the break. My producer, I'm waiving chairman's privilege. I need to keep Aaron for a couple of minutes after the break to give him more time to just finish off what he is intending to do if he gets into Gordon House as MP for East Central St. Catherine. It's only fair since we spent so much time interrogating something that happened 5 years ago.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Downsound Entertainment presents Reggae Sumfest. Night 2, Saturday, July 19, is the grand finale. The legendary Tony Braxton takes center stage alongside reggae powerhouses Taurus Riley, Iwayne, Protege, Leela Ike, Bugle, Phantom Moja, Pressure Bus Fight. Don't miss Night 2 at Reggae Sumfest 2025. Get your tickets now. Sponsors Jamaica Tourist Board, MasterCard, Secrets, Hardware and Lumber, Urban Development Corporation, Red Stripe, Downsound Records.
Start your journey with a Jane Bank Small Business Loan with small business loans with as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million.
The time is 8.
East Central St. Catherine has a leader in Parliament, although Parliament is on a break now, the summer break. But Raymond Price intends that when the Parliament reconvenes, he will be the man representing the constituency. He has the formidable task of chipping away at the 2,000 votes plus that Alando Terrelong beat him by in the 2020 September general election. Raymond, 2 more minutes to talk about your agenda to implement when you, if and when you get in.
So it's a great agenda. I was giving you examples. Yes. I'm not one of those candidates that will be coming and say, when I win, I will do.
Yes.
I actually can showcase to the constituents, though not their member of parliament as yet, programs that we have done in partnership with them, with various communities that have borne fruit. One of the things about Portmore, especially when it rains, if you don't maintain a system of drains properly, then you could have problems. And a lot of the drains, believe it or not, are earthen drains.
Yes.
So we will be doing a program of concreting these drains, giving people a better sense of safety, that their properties will not be undermined by constantly eroding gully banks, as is happening along the side of West Cumberland.
And the flood threat reduced, of course.
And the flood threat reduced, of course. Open areas where elderly persons can walk comfortably on the solar-powered light that have motion sensors that when people are moving, the lights are on, and with closed-circuit cameras so that they know the additional watchful eyes of the JCF are there. And the details of the CREATE plan are being put up in video format and in various other formats on my social media platforms. But if I was to do a pitch, the pitch is simply this. You know the product you have had as a member of parliament for 112 months. Anything that has not been achieved in 9 years, you can't guarantee when they come again about third term loading that it will finally be done. You now also have the opportunity to cure those 9 years of nonchalance and underperformance with a simple move of making an X beside a head on election day. For East Central St. Catherine residents, vote for the People's National Party and tell all your relatives across the entire 14 parishes and 63 constituencies, vote for the People's National Party on election day.
Hear you on that. You notice what he said, viewers. He didn't say vote for Raymond Price, you know. He said vote for the PNP on election day. Clever man, Raymond Price. Thank you very much for your time.
They're not the PNP, but they represent. They represent the PNP, so it's 6-1, 5 + 1 are the next.
Hear you on that.
Vote
Manchester
for Raymond
man.
Price in East Central St. Catherine. Vote for the PNP across Jamaica.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I move on to talk about my next guest, who is still a young man, a man known very well to Raymond Price, a man that many people in Jamaica have great respect for, who has rebounded from a little infraction during the COVID period, and he has right-sided his tenure as a member of parliament. It's our agriculture minister. He's the member of parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth, and he has a tough task on his hand. People are telling us to retain that seat for the JLP come the next election. Talking about, of course, Floyd Green. And in case you're wondering what's at play where the numbers in Southwest St. Elizabeth are concerned, how about this?
13 out of 13 contested general elections since independence. The party that has won the St. Elizabeth Southwestern constituency has gone on to form government. St. Elizabeth, known as the breadbasket parish, has a notable history of producing agriculture ministers. Dr. Christopher Tufton and the late Roger Clark are two of the most recent former ministers. Currently, Floyd Green serves as the Agriculture Minister and represents St. Elizabeth in a seat identified by CVM News as a marginal or battleground constituency. An examination of the past 4 electoral cycles in St. Elizabeth Southwestern reveals that most of the margins of victory have not been particularly close. So, that might raise the question about why this seat is considered marginal. In the 2007 general election, Dr. Tufton won his seat by a substantial margin of 1,825 votes against Stanley Redwood from the People's National Party (PNP), who is a former president of the Senate. However, Dr. Tufton's tenure came to an abrupt end in 2011 when he lost to Hugh Buchanan of the PNP by a mere 13 votes, a result that triggered a magisterial recount. Buchanan's victory was significant as it continued a legacy. His father, Donald Buchanan, had previously served as MP for this constituency from 1989 until his retirement in 2007. Green resecured the seat for the GLP by a margin of 2,056 votes, making his predecessor Buchanan a one-term MP. Green's win in 2020 increased his majority by 46 votes compared to the previous election. So why is St. Elizabeth one to watch this year? The results from the 2024 local government elections have prompted both sides to reassess their chances. The GLP and the PNP secured 2 divisions each, raising questions about the GLP's hold on power. Previously, the GLP had controlled 3 of 4 divisions in the constituency. At the end of local polling in 2024, the GLP secured more votes than the PNP. But look, only by 218 votes, which translates into approximately 1.5%. The PNP is particularly focused on reclaiming 3 seats in St. Elizabeth, this being one of them, with educator Miranda Wellington aiming to teach the incumbent lawyer a lesson in this electoral battle. The GLP, on the other hand, is striving to grow with Green. Andre Jebinson, CVM News.
Thank you very much, Andre. So, Floyd Green, the Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth. Good evening, sir.
Evening, Sir George. Evening to all your viewers.
Thank you very much. You know, I was having a conversation with one of your constituents recently, talking about the race and saying that, boy, your MP has a tough fight on his hands. And he said to me, he gave me an analogy. He says, George, I know you're a man of the movies. Do you remember the Jean-Claude Van Damme flick, Hard Target? And I said, yes, you know, where he was this guy helping this girl who was being persecuted by men who were killing other men for sport. And he said, yes, my MP is a hard target, and no matter what, he will not lose on election day. So I said, what's the basis of your confidence? And he says, Floyd Green's presence in the constituency and the work that he has on the table will be enough to take him over the line. So I say that to say that at least one of your constituents is so thoughtful about your stewardship that he had to link it to a movie to make the point. I say to you, though, as things stand on this day in politics, on this day in sport, how comfortable are you that you can defend this crown?
I'm very comfortable. You know, you find in politics not to take anything for granted and to always ensure that as confident as you may be, you put in the work. And I think the reality of my tenureship is that we have not stopped working. From I became the representative for the Labour Party in 2014 and then became MP in 2016. I've never worked for a season. I've never worked for election cycle. I've never just shown up when it comes close to an event. I have always been there. I've always focused on things that can move communities forward. And I've always focused on the people. And I find because I am a respecter of people, because I try to engage people for who they are at every level, because I am a son of St. Elizabeth. So I know the people, I know our value systems, I know the things that we like, that we don't like. And I try to engage around that. I think that has endeared me to the seat and the seat to me. So I am extremely comfortable. In fact, I'm just coming from a walk, So regardless of comfort level, this is not the sort of seat that you sit on your laurels and say all is well. You appreciate that you still have to go out, you still have to engage, you still have to meet the people where they are. And, you know, the feedback from the walks and our engagements are very, very positive. So I am comfortable that I will continue to put in the work until the last vote is in the box, because the true comfort, the true rest, the true time to relax comes at the end of election night when you've secured the victory.
I remember also, and I'm giving you the other side of the coin now, I remember also earlier this year taking calls from 2 men from your constituency who were rather upset at what they felt was you not paying enough attention to them. So I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I listen to your news and the MP is there in his role as agriculture minister. He's up in the hills of St. Andrew doing this. He's out east doing this. He's here doing that. He's here doing
Jamaica
that.
Labour
And
Party,
we
JLP,
have not been able to press flesh with the MP in the way that we want. It's almost as if he's abandoning us. We are seeing our MP on the TV because the ministerial duties with which he has been assigned and he has been taken care of is taking him away from us. So I have heard that from your constituents. Is it that there's a large segment of the constituency who feel as if you've not been giving them quality time, Minister Green?
I don't think so. You know, I've been very consistent. Every Thursday to Sunday, and my friends, my family, those in the seat will tell you, I am in the seat, I live in the seat, right? And I do, you know, I'm very consistent. So the funerals, the setups, the dance, the church, the events, the activities. One of the things that I did realize, and again, what you find about the seat is that you have to listen. So because I'm a member of parliament for the seat, oftentimes when I do, for example, let's say a farm road, right? I may not have a farm road opening, or if I do an activity with our officials, like for example, when we did the fish aggregating device in Billy's Bay, and I came and I went out with the officials, and we literally went to the device, threw down the lines, caught the marlin, came back. Those things, because I'm MP, are not publicized as I would if I went to St. Mary and did a fish aggregating device and you would see the media come. So I did realize that one of the challenges that people would be seeing me on TV for the work that I'm doing elsewhere, and remember it's a big constituency.
Yes.
So unless you were in Billy's Bay and went out with me,
yes,
on that, you would not know. So one of the things I definitely started to do is the activities that we have in the seat now that are agriculture and fisheries related, we put some publicity behind it. So
yes.
for example, you would have seen in Black River recently.
Hold the point, Minister. I have to take the break and come back. Remember where you were, and we can pick up from there. This is Lead Story Prime here on CVM TV, talking to the defending champion in Southwest St. Elizabeth, Floyd Green, who faces a formidable opponent in his bid to win a third term in situ in the constituency.
Join us next week when we conclude our discussion on the growth of the Morgans Group and how it has benefited from various initiatives undertaken by the Tourism Enhancement Fund, the TEF, including through its Tourism Linkages Network.
Everybody, I'm Yendi, and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
Odyssey with Yendi, brought to you by Grace and singer.
Come and tell me what is bothering you, Krishna. Come on.
If Mummy wins tomorrow's competition, then she will leave and take me away.
I won't allow that.
So the court gives the order that from today, Krishna's legal guardian will be her father, Mr. Sagar Chaturvedi.
I don't want to hear Ganga's name again as long as I live.
Ganga. Brought to you by
Hyundai or Hyundai.
Protecting Jamaica's borders is a key priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. The JCA will remain vigilant and resolute in effectively fulfilling this mandate. The time brought to you by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
8:45.
He's an attorney at law by training, Floyd Green, and the 2 times he has won in Southwest St. Elizabeth, he has beaten his PNP opponent by 2,000 plus votes. And he says he's hopeful that when the final tally is done on election night, the next general election, that he'll be in front once again. Minister Green, you were speaking to me, responding to the question I put to you, where some constituents were saying that given your national duties as agriculture minister, it was getting in the way of you spending quality time doing work in the constituency.
Because consistently, and even my ministry office knows that, you don't schedule me on a Friday. I'm down here Thursday straight through to Sunday. I have my office days every first Friday. I started community office days where we move to different communities on the other Friday. So 2 Fridays out of the month, you can find the office somewhere, whether it's in Black River in a community. But I was making the point is I did realize that what was happening partially is that people were seeing the work that I was doing as Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries and Mining outside of the constituency. Because when I would go into those areas, clearly the media would be invited. But when I'm home in the constituency, we never did it with a lot of fanfare. So I did listen, and since this year, definitely I started, for example, doing openings for my farm roads. So we've done a number of farm roads in areas like Flagaman. They can carry on, show you the farm roads that we've done, but we've never had an opening. This year, we ensure that we open the road that we did up there in Newcomb Valley and the road that we did in Giddy Hall. And I've been taking that approach. So when we did the refurbishment of the Fisherman's Gear Shed in Black River, and wonderful, spent some money to really bring it to the state that our fishermen can be comfortable. We would have publicized that by bringing the media. So, listening to the people, George, and I've always said, listen, that has to be your best quality if you want to do well in Southwest St. Elizabeth.
Yes.
So when I heard them say, we see it on TV, but I started to highlight what we're doing here on TV.
Yes. Yes. The last 5 to 7 general elections, Minister Green, there's no doubt about Southwest St. Elizabeth's importance. And that's why every political analyst worth their salt, the grizzled veterans, the saplings who are now coming to the vocation of analyzing politics can easily identify Southwest St. Elizabeth as one of those constituencies. Whichever party wins that gets Jamaica House. It's as simple as that. Does that bring a particular kind of pressure to you as Member of Parliament, given the importance of Southwest St. Elizabeth, and do you translate that pressure to the workers, the team that you have on the ground, hoping to defend this seat for the Labour Party?
My team of workers, and I always said I do have the best workers in the country, they appreciate the importance of the seat. When the Prime Minister was here for our workers' appreciation, I did say we are on the front line. We are the first line of defense. If you want to get to the Prime Minister and get to the Labour Party, you have to get through Southwest St. Elizabeth. You see that from the attention. I think we've been visited most by the other side and by their leader, time and time again. So we appreciate that. It's something that we don't take for granted, and we translate that into the work that we do, George. So we understand, we being myself, the team of workers, we understand that we have to go a little harder. We have to push a little bit more. That this seat does really signal who is going to win the general election. So we do go there feeling like once we can secure Southwest St. Elizabeth, then we can ensure that the country continues to move in the right direction. And for us, that's what this is about. We do believe that we are the heart and soul of Jamaica. We are farmers, we're fishers. So we see it as our duty to try and secure the future by securing the seat.
The fact is that politics is a beauty contest. It is also about scoring political points, especially when an election is nigh, as the fact is that this election is very much nigh. So those two things are accepted as true. In other periods when people would say, well, we're not interested in scoring political points, now is the time to score political points. And I say that to say, recently, your likely opponent, not opponent yet because it's not nomination day yet, your likely opponent made a serious gaffe on the campaign trail talking about war. There was an opportunity for you to score some political points and curry favor with the masses, given that so many people criticized her for those war comments. You did not. Why?
I've never focused on my opponent, George. It has never been my approach. It has never been what I bring to the table. I've always tried to focus on what I literally bring in terms of representation and also the policies. I know clearly that I've been member of parliament. The work, I've always felt, every cycle you have an opponent and you hear that you're going to lose and they're coming with this, but nobody can say from my platform I've ever tried to whether tear down my opponent, attack my opponent. I don't mention my opponent because ultimately I find that the people who have to mention and try to tear down and try to pull down and who are always talking about their opponent have very little to offer. Because if you did, then that would be their focus. I find that the people who try to rile up crowds by inciting things, again, may have very little to offer. So I have never positioned myself like that. So, clearly a lot of people try to egg on but that has never been my approach. I have always wanted to say, and I've always run a campaign that says, this is what I bring to the table, these are the issues, this is how I'm going to fix them, this is what I've done. If you continue to put your faith in me, you can rest assured that I will always bring respectful representation that works for your best interests.
In 3 minutes, Floyd Green, and I may be being unfair to you to constrict the time to give you this question now. But in 3 minutes, put on the table your 5 greatest accomplishments in your time as Member of Parliament in Southwest St. Elizabeth.
I think we've done significant work on our road network. I think in every division that you would drive, you can point to work that we've done. And it points to the state that we found it in. So almost all our major thoroughfares, whether you're coming from Mountainside, going to Watchwell or to Fuller's, whether you're heading into Barbary Hall or you're going over the bridge, I think people will say that a lot of work has been done and our work does not stop. So definitely in terms of road, in terms of water is the same. We've done the most significant water project. We've been water into areas like Middle Quarters, Landswood, areas that did not have water. We've brought them water. The rebirth of Black River, I think even if you do not support my political party, you can look and see what we've done with the fire station, what we've done with the hospital, what we've done with Black River High to take it off shift. I mean, our hospital has moved from type C to type B by offering more services. What we've done with just bringing back entities to the town of Black River. I think if you were to look in terms of what we've done for fishers, the first that they're getting this sort of attention. We're doing work now in Great Bay, we're doing work in Black River, we're doing work in Parity. We brought Galleon Beach. When I went to Galleon Beach, I said, this is too beautiful to not have ecotourism destination. Now they have a jetty, they have a boat, they have an office. We've done all of that. And then our farmers, again, when we came in, onion production was nothing. We've used the onion program. We've brought back onion farming into Southwest St. Elizabeth. When we came, we had no water trucks at the Irrigation Commission. We now have 5. We've launched our Peter Plains irrigation system. which probably I will end as definitely the biggest achievement thus far because of just what it will mean for our citizens. We had to do so much work to get here. We had to do the feasibility study. We had to do the environmental assessment. We had to do cadastral mapping so that we could get titles to run easements. And now we're at a stage where we are setting up the site office and we're going to start laying pipes. And when that is completed, that will completely transform all our communities, coming all the way from Mountainside through to Greenfield, through to Little Park, Claremont Park, into Flaggerman, Bacon, Newcomb Valley. All of those areas, Round Hill, will be transformed because they will have water, and we are natural farmers. So I think in every area, the fact that we've got early childhood institutions accredited in every area, we can speak to the work that has been done. So my campaign is really about work, George, and to say it's not a lot, but there is still more to do.
Yes.
Give us the time to continue to do the work. Floyd Green again.
Hear you on that. Floyd Green says that he and his team in Southwest St. Elizabeth are the first block in that JLP green wall. And he says they're very well aware that if the PNP wants to get to the heart of the JLP, they have to come through that wall. And as the first block in that wall, he says that they will be resilient. Thank you for your time this evening, MP. All the best to you.
Anytime.
Floyd Green, Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth and the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining. That's my time on Lead Story Prime here on a Tuesday. Always enjoy the show. And my producer says to remind you all, don't go anywhere because Fan Central is up next.
'71. The Jamaica Agricultural Society, in association with the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, presents Denby 71, August 1 to 3, 2025. Denby Showgrounds, Mape and Clarendon. It's a family affair, from livestock competitions, agricultural displays, National Farm Queen competition, Kiddies Village, Health and Wellness Village, and much more. Closing the show is the High Pro Denby Gospel Extravaganza. Admission adults 1,500, children 600 at the gate. Denby 71, August 1 to 3. You don't want to miss this.
Reggae Sumfest presents the Global Fete, Thursday, July 17, Catherine Hall Stadium. It's pure fire. Ghana's Molly brings Billboard heat with Shake It to the Max. From Trinidad, soca vibes with hitmaker Young Breda and dancehall energy with Marcy Chin. And then it's the big bad sound clash with Tony Matterhorn versus Notorious Sound. It's gonna be a war zone. It's the Global Fete, Reggae Sumfest, where the rhythm never sleeps. Get your tickets now. Sponsors: Jamaica Tourist Board, MasterCard, Secrets, Hardware and Lumber, Urban Development Corporation, Red Stripe, Down South Records. Tony Braxton. The iconic Tony Braxton is coming to Reggae Sumfest 2025 as the headline act for Festival Night 2, Saturday, July 19. With over 70 million records sold worldwide, 7 Grammy Awards, and timeless hits like On Break My Heart, Breathe Again, 7 Whole Days. Tony Braxton brings that smooth, sexy, and inimitable vibe to the Sumfest stage. Real R&B royalty meets Jamaica's biggest night in music. Don't miss Tony Braxton live at Reggae Sumfest 2025. Grab your tickets now at reggaesumfest.com. Sponsors: Jamaica Tourist Board, MasterCard, Secrets, Hardware and Lumber, Urban Development Corporation, Red Stripe, Down South Records.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Reggae Sunfest 2025 is only his second show in Jamaica since his return to the free world, his first in Montego Bay, and his very first time on the Reggae Sunfest stage in 14 years. Your DJ, who went away a champion, returns as a king. Every show sold out, every moment electric. Gaza fans, are you ready? This is history in the making. The date, Friday, July 18. The venue, Catherine Hall Entertainment Center. Catch Adishapama, the world boss, the new king of the dance hall, the one and only Vibes Cartel, live at Reggae Sunfest 2025. Get your tickets now.
Sponsors Jamaica Tourist Board, MasterCard.